Hello neighbor, thank you for joining me tonight here at Creating in My Corner. I'm Alicia Dolan, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and tonight we are going to be designing and creating a card at the same time. So I have started already just a little bit. Tonight I wanted to use the HoneyBee Home stamp set and die bundle. And these are the dies that go with that. And I thought that pale papaya would be a good spring color to add as our card base tonight. So we have a piece of pale papaya that measures 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored here at 4 1/4. And I always like to press my fold at least once with a bone folder. So I have that over here off to the side. And I'll just run that along the crease to make sure our fold is nice. And again, that's 5.5 by 8.5, and we scored at 4 1/4. This is a really standard A2 size card. So we're going to set that off to the side. I also have a piece of basic white that I cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And I thought we could put that on the top. Now I haven't finished one of these cards yet, so we are designing and creating together tonight. Hi Tina, thank you for joining me tonight. I'm working with the HoneyBee Home stamp set and bundle. So I have, let's see, I also have a piece of pale papaya that I've cut to 2 by 4 1/4. I actually have a bunch of them because I cut them for something else, but I decided to use them tonight. So that was, we're going to sit on top. And then we have another piece of white that is cut 1 1/4, 1 3/4 by 4. And so I'm going to take that and I'm going to place it on my stamparatus. And earlier I marked my little spots that I needed when I stamped my practice piece of paper. So I'm going to put my piece of basic white in there, inside those little pencil marks I made. I'm going to clamp it down with my magnet. And tonight I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo Black ink to ink up my stamp. And when you ink up your stamp, oh, I didn't follow my own rules tonight. So usually when I am working with a stamp, let me grab another stamp set. This is a really great stamp set. I just used this one last week in the video, but today I'm going to use it for a totally different purpose. And I'm just going to sit it underneath the plate on my stamparatus so that when I'm inking up my stamp, my plate is a little more level. There we go. And I think that's more than enough ink. It might actually be too much, but we'll see how it goes. And tonight I'm stamping with the stamparatus, but since I'm using red rubber stamps, I have removed the foam plate, the foam, I don't know, it's not a plate, but a piece that goes underneath this grid paper. And then we can just close our plate and press our stamp. We want to press firmly, but not too hard so that we squish it down. And there is our stamped image. So we can set that off to the side. And I'm actually going to take this plate off for now, and I'm going to set it to the side because I may want to use it again later. Let's see, and next, let's take this piece here And because I didn't plan this out ahead of time, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to come up with. So let's take this piece here and let me grab my other plate. The Stamparatus comes with 2 plates, so if you ever do want to just take one off and set it to the side, you can do that. But I thought these were really pretty stamp sets, and so let's take this flower here, and instead of putting it on my plate, because I'm going to stamp it and move it around a bit to kind of create our own designer series paper, I'm going to put it on a separate block. Now this block came with my the most recent kit that I ordered, which was called the No Matter the Weather card kit. So some of our all-inclusive card kits come with a block, and I really like the size of this block that comes in them. So we're going to pick up our stamp with that. I'm going to scoot these little leafy grasses out of the way and open up my Pale Papaya ink. And we are going to try out a method of stamping called, I believe it's called the Smackdown method. So what we're going to do is we're going to ink up our stamp, and then we're going to stamp it kind of around a whole bunch of times. So we'll stamp it once here, and then we kind of stamp around it like this. And then we'll ink it up again and stamp maybe over here, and we'll stamp around it a bunch of times. And like I said, this is, I think it's called the Smackdown method. I just saw someone else try it the other day. Hi Kim, thank you for joining me. All right, and then we'll try, let's see. I'm gonna try and get them so that they're not perfectly aligned. So then we're gonna stamp around, get a little more ink, maybe stamp here, and then stamp around. And then I'm trying to figure out a good way to measure what I'm doing, and this is not really a measurable thing, is it? All right, I'll stamp here and then stamp around. I feel like I should have gone all the same direction, but since I didn't do that, there's no going back now. So like this. Here and then around. And then maybe we'll do a few that are kind of off the edges a little bit. Let me move my magnet maybe over here. That way I can get to the edges. I'll do this one. Oh, I think I need to move my piece just a little bit, maybe over here. Okay. So then we're going to try this one up here in the corner, just like that. And then one down in the bottom corner. Thank you, Maureen. Nice to see you too. Thanks you guys for joining me tonight. Okay, so there we have our first color, and I was thinking, we have quite a few stamps in this set. I think we should we should try a couple stamps with the bee. So I'm gonna take this one off and put it back, but you know what, I think I'll make that bee, I think I'll make him cinnamon cider. He could be black, I suppose, but then I think he might draw too much attention. So we're gonna make him a little bit of a subtle bee. Let's put this one over here, and let me grab cinnamon cider. And in case you haven't seen the post or the email for it, I am going to have a paper pumpkin party on Zoom on Thursday. And so all that is we will meet together on Zoom, and you can bring a paper pumpkin kit or a card kit or any project really that you're working on. And we can work on those together and kind of chat, and you can bring your own snacks, obviously, because you'll be calling in from your own home. Now, if you don't have the video capabilities on Zoom, you could always call in. All right, so now we're going to add a few bees in here with the same technique. I'm hoping it will turn out really cool. So we're going to stamp them down and then stamp around. And we'll stamp one here and then stamp around. I wasn't sure how this would turn out with the bees, but I really did like it with the flowers. Okay, let's put one up here and stamp around. And to be honest, I wasn't sure exactly where I was going with this. Okay, let's put one here, and then we'll stamp around. But I do like the way that the paper turns out. Let's try and put one up here. It'll be really close to the edge, but and let's see, maybe one, just a tiny bit of one here. And maybe a teeny bit here. Okay, I really am liking the way this turns out. I really liked it when I saw someone else do it, and I couldn't tell you exactly right now who it was, but if you are following me on YouTube, I am probably following them on YouTube as well. So you can go over there and see who I'm following, and I'm sure, or you could search for the smackdown technique. I keep calling it that. I'm not 100% sure that's what it's called, but I will look that up for you guys as soon as I get a chance. And now I feel like we need one more color in there. Maybe a green. And since we're gonna use, I was gonna use some Mossy Meadow, these little die cuts that I cut out, but I am not sure yet exactly where those are gonna go. So, and I'm not sure they're gonna be in there. So let's add a little Mossy Meadow. And I would like to tell you that I'm going to add it from this HoneyBee Home, but I kind of want it to be little leaves. And there are not any leaves in our HoneyBee Home except for on the little honeysuckle. So I'm going to borrow some little leaves from the garden greenhouse set, just because I still have it out and I think it'll be just right. So I'm going to use these little leaves right here. So I can peel those off carefully. And now, since I am switching from a rubber stamp to photopolymer, I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to put my foam mat back in and hopefully not forget when I go to switch and stamp my sentiment. And I'm going to put my this right here, my magnet. Sorry, I lost track of what I was saying there for a second. Because I had planned to put this over top like that. So let's stamp a little bit of Mossy Meadow, and I'm afraid it's going to be a little too dark. So I'm going to stamp off one time first, and then I'm going to stamp in here and do our little stamp around. Right, and I'm going to stamp off and stamp in here, do a little stamp around. I'm going to stamp off, and actually I'm going to move this and I'm going to stamp around a little bit more around this one because I feel like I didn't quite get enough green around there, and I like that better. Okay, I'm going to get some more ink and stamp off. And then we'll put some up here in the corner. We'll just stamp around. And then I think we need a little bit over on this side, even though it'll be partly covered up. All right. I didn't plan out very well when I chose my block, did I? All right, and then stamp around. Let's see. And I think I should do one here, even though it might be covered up. But what if it isn't? Oh, and I forgot to stamp off that time. All right, so this one is a little bit brighter than the rest, or darker, depending on how you look at it. So there is my designer series paper that we created. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Kim. I hope you guys are able to create something of your own when we get done. Yes, I am creating my own DSP. That's something I used to do a lot of. And I felt like sometimes it took me too long. So that's probably why I haven't done it in a while. Okay, so we're going to set that off to the side. And here is so here's what we've got so far for our card. And then we'll put this over the top. So I think what I am going to do next is color in the flowers on my, I think this is honeysuckle. I'm not 100% sure because I am not a flower expert. I would love to be, but I simply am not. So we're going to set that to the side. I'm going to start with my pale papaya. And what I'm going to do is use my blender pens to color it in. So when you're using your classic ink pad, if you squeeze it together in the center, and then open it up, it will leave a little mark on the lid. That one didn't seem to leave. I didn't squeeze quite tight enough. There we go. So now I have a little round circle of color, and I am going to use the end of this. This is a blender pen. Sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied. And they come in a pack of 3. But you can use these for a really long time with any color, and they're really, really nice. So we're going to start with our flowers here, and we're just going to color those in. And really you can color with these almost just like you would a marker. Now you don't want to go over your black ink too much because it will pick up a little tiny bit of that color. So you want to stick mostly to the whites of your image. And these will work for flowers, or they would work for the bees or leaves. Pretty much any stamped image you could use these blender pens with. And of course you can get Stampin' Right markers in almost all of the main Stampin' Up colors. So you could use markers instead. But I feel like I get just a little bit more control when I use the blender pen. Because if I want to, I can smudge a little bit over here and just get the teeny tiniest bit of color to begin with. So there are those. We're getting up there. And when I'm coloring, one of the things I like to do is try to start with the lighter colors first. And work my way towards the darker areas, because you can add a little extra color later on, but you can't take it away. Like, you can't go backwards with that. Okay, so there is our first layer, and then I'm going to go back and add just a little bit extra along the places in the flower that I think might have a little bit of a shadow or might be a little darker than the rest, just to kind of give it a little extra definition. I spend a lot of time coloring because that's one of the things I really like to do. And sometimes I'll stamp a bunch of images and take them and watch TV while I color, or watch a movie. I love to watch Netflix, and one of my favorite shows is on there. I love to watch Call the Midwife. That's one of my, I cry almost every episode. And my friend Laura and I watch together. So that one I actually usually can't color during, because then there would be little tear stains all over my colors, my cards. Okay, and next I am gonna open the cinnamon cider. I'm gonna do the same thing where I squeeze it in the middle. Let's see if I squeezed enough. Oh, just enough. And I'm going to add a little bit of this cinnamon cider in here to my flowers, just to draw some of that color in from our designer series paper that we colored. I can get it right in the centers, I think, for the most part here. And it's not very dark, it's not too much, but it'll just add a little bit of something there. All right, and now we can color our leaves. I'm gonna go back to that pale papaya one more time. So if you're coloring along, don't put it back in your stash yet. All right, now I'm gonna make sure that the cinnamon cider and the pale papaya are off my blender pen. And the way I do that is just to color on my paper a little bit. Now we're gonna pick up some of this mossy meadow and we're gonna color our leaves. Just like that. And a little bit along the stem. I don't want to color too much, but I'd like to color just along the edge so that that green shows up a little bit instead of it looking like it's just black. And I think that gives it just enough color that it adds a little something in there. All right, so there's our green, and the green is a little bit darker, so that'll take just a little more coloring to get off of there. And then we can close up our blender pen. And I need a little blender sponge. Let's see if I have one right here. Yeah, it doesn't look like I do. I have this little jar that I got from my friend Patty a long time ago. And it's perfect for holding all of my, whoops, all of my little tools in. It did just grab my magnet. So I'm going to have to watch that a little bit. Let me grab a sponge and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I cannot find any clean ones right now, but this is what the little blender sponges look like now. I have one of these. These are retired sponges. I love these sponges, but I'm just going to cut off a little wedge from one, and I'm going to use that because I can't find a clean sponge that isn't green or dark purple. That's what I have closest to me right now, and I don't want to make you wait while I look for something else. Okay, so now we're gonna grab this pale papaya and open it up again. And I'm gonna take this sponge and just sponge along the edges of my stamped image here. I really thought that I would be using the dies more on this card tonight, but you sometimes can't tell which way your creativity is going to go when you start a project. A card or any project, really. Oh, white craft ink. Yeah, that would work. Okay, so here's what we've got so far. Let's evaluate where we are. So I've got my base, my designer series paper. This will be my next layer here. And I think that goes really nice. Let's see, I have some pale papaya ribbon over here that I think will look really nice with this. I haven't even opened this yet. I just got it. Oh, you forget to use your sponges. I love the sponges. I really loved the sponge roller when you could tell it's still in my little tub of stuff. So what I think this will go really pretty with this. Okay, so here we're going to use this, and this is pale papaya and white woven ribbon. So I think I'm going to use some of that, and then I still need to choose the sentiment. So let's see what we've got here. We've got such happy news, so glad we're family, best of luck, miss you, stay wonderful, and you're the nicest. Let's see, I think we should use stay wonderful. That's what I'm going to choose today. All right, so here is our little block that we're using from the kit, and we'll just put that on there. And we need another piece of white. I've got some little scraps here off to the side. I think that one should work. All right, and so let's scoot this out of the way. And, all right, should we stamp it in black or should we stamp it in pale papaya? I think we're gonna go with pale papaya tonight. So let's sit this up here. I really thought I would be using these little leaves. I'm gonna have to use them for something else really soon. Okay, so let's stamp our sentiment. And we don't have to be perfectly careful because I think we are gonna cut it out. Oh, it didn't show up very. All right, so now, can you see how pale that is? I think I am going to stamp this one in, let's try it in cinnamon cider and see how that works. And if that's not dark enough, then we'll try with the Memento Black. I didn't want it to be too dark and stand out too much, but I do want to be able to, I do want whoever gets it to be able to read it. So let's turn our piece of white over and set it down. And let's try cinnamon cider and see how that works. Oh, that's much better. Okay, and I think that's a good color. And what I am going to do this time is just trim around it. So and they say it's always better to turn your paper instead of your scissors, so I try to remember to do that. And the nice thing about just trimming along is you don't have to be exact or trim so close to your words. Now, sometimes I would probably punch this out or use one of my circle dies, but I think this time I'm just gonna do it this way. And then we can do the same thing with the edges, and we'll just add a little ink to the edges of those words to help them stand out a little. That'll kind of soften the edge too, where I wasn't quite as careful. So let's add just a tiny bit more ink. There we go. And I'm going to put that sponge aside. And let's get this card put together. All right, so for this first part, I want to have a little bow, and I think I want it to be on this side. So I'm going to cut this here, and then turn this over. And I'm going to use a couple glue dots. Now today I'm using the glue dots that came in my paper pumpkin because I have them out, and so there's no reason not to use them. And I'm just going to turn around my take your pick tools to use this little paddle end. And when I pick up my glue dots, I try to bend my paper backwards and push them down a little bit with my thumb. And then I can slide that right in and pick those glue dots up. So I want my ribbon to go right about here. And I can put my glue dots on either side in just about the same spot. Then I can pick up the edge and just slide my ribbon under. And since I lined it up with my grid paper here along the bottom, I can just line it up here and then fold it over on top of those glue dots, and it should be pretty close to in a nice straight line. Oh, did you get the mini cut and emboss machine? I really wanted to get that, but my budget wouldn't let me. I have the big one and I love it, but I always have to move it off the table because it shakes the whole table when I run it through. All right, so we're gonna tie a little bow over on this side. And I have my short end on the left and my actual ribbon on the right. And so I'm gonna cross my left over right, and then I'm gonna move my ribbon to the left and tuck that tail under and pull it. And then I'm gonna turn it so that my ribbon is on my right again. And I'm gonna pull up the bow on my left, go behind it with the ribbon on the right, and then pull it through. And not pull it too tight until I get it to about the size that I want it to be. And then I can tighten it up. And I'll trim off the ends. Just like that. Okay. And there is our bow. And I can fiddle with it a little bit more now that it's a little more steady. And kind of pull it into where I want it to be. This ribbon is easier to work with than some of the other. I know that, but it does kill the fun. And I have been waiting and waiting to order a new computer, and I ordered one today, you guys, and you won't believe what I did. I accidentally ordered 2 computers. So now I'm trying to figure out how to either cancel one or I'll just have to send it back, I guess, when it gets here. But I couldn't believe I did that. So anyways, all right, and now we are going to attach these to each other. So I'm going to turn this one over, my stamped image to my pale papaya. And I will send you guys all the finished measurements too for this week. I know, Tina, wasn't that crazy? I couldn't believe I did that. And they're not both the same computer because I chose to buy a refurbished one this time to try and save myself a little bit of money. So thank goodness I at least did that. But I couldn't believe that I double ordered. Well, it told me that the first one was canceled. And so that's why I ordered a second time. But there must have been some kind of hiccup in the shipping because it shows that it shows 2 charges already. Not 2 charges in my account already, but I have 2 confirmation emails. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can cancel it quickly. Oh, you do, Tina? That makes me feel better because I know your husband's really good with computers. I've never bought a refurbished computer before, but the last time I bought one was, I think, 2010. So I've really been stretching out the life of mine. And the one that I am buying is, I think, in 2017. So at least I'm moving up a little bit. All right, here we go. You guys, I think this is turning out really pretty. Okay, there's our base. And we can still move this bow if we need to. Here, it'll scoot back and forth. Because it's tied on to the front. It's not, I don't know, permanent, I guess. It's kind of a slidey bow. All right, and then we need some Stampin' Dimensionals. We're gonna put on there. Aw, thanks, Kim. I think it turned out really, sometimes you don't know. I was kind of taking a chance tonight, designing and taking a video at the same time. I have done it before, and so far it's turned out, but sometimes when you're designing, it's not exactly what you want it to be. So we are gonna put our, I'm gonna put my little flowers right about here. I'm trying to make sure I don't make them crooked. Okay, and here's our little bow. Oh, now I'm gonna scoot it back over a little bit because I think otherwise it's gonna hang off a little bit too far. And I'm gonna try and twist it just to here. There we go. So that the bow part is in front and the little tails are in the back. And then I will put one more Stampin' Dimensional over here. And I'm gonna put this right up here like that. So there is our card for tonight using the smackdown technique. So that turned out really cool, and I think I will definitely use that again. Now we could add some little gems to this or little sparkle, little sequins, but I think I'm gonna leave this one just like it is, and maybe I will make a few more that go along with this one. Because I really ended up liking that color scheme. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to use these little leaves too. Maybe I'll put them in a different one. But I think the colors are really good together. So that's Pale Papaya, Mossy Meadow, and Cinnamon Cider that we used tonight. And this ribbon is the Pale Papaya and White ribbon. Now, Pale Papaya if that's a color that you like, that you want, that is on the last chance list. So I didn't think about that before I used it tonight, but if you want that, you probably should order it pretty quickly, because those colors will go fast, because the new catalog will be live really soon. And we use the Garden Greenhouse stamp set for the little leaves, and all the other stamps tonight came from HoneyBee Home, which was this one. So thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope that I will see you on Thursday on the Zoom Paper Pumpkin Party. I would be really excited for you to join me. I'm hoping that soon I can have a live Paper Pumpkin Party, and I think that would be really fun. Thank you for joining me tonight. I will see you soon.